do it for forestry.
Yeah. Which category will the forestry collection log go in? That's a good question. I haven't thought about that.
I don't know. Another dev is working on it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what they've decided to do.
That will, the fact is, it will be there. Like, again, we've been thinking more top level things at the moment, and fortunately, like there's a few devs on other teams that have come over to help us out, which has been really, really handy. And can only thank them so much. So yeah, there will be a collection log basically. Right, next one. What do you want to go for, Squid? Should we talk about accessibility or forestry kit depositing or cannons? I'll let you pick which we talk about next.
I'll start with cannons. I saw that one in questions for stages. Quite voted.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go for it, Squid. If you got something ready, go for it.
Just gonna say, yeah, we're aware of the cannons issue and like fires and stuff like that. We've got a plan fix in mind. And probably won't be out. I'm not sure. Probably won't be out for next week though. But we're just going to look at making events. I think we were talking about making events remove cannons and fires in the event area.
Yeah, from what I remember from the conversation, and I wanted to double check before we release this, is that fires and flowers would be removed when an event spawns, and box traps, that's a good one to add on. Thank you, Sempsage. Should be removed, and cannons will auto degrade. So anyone that is trying to grief, they will degrade, and they will have to go and get it from I can't remember the NPC's name, so they won't have to buy it back. They'll just have to get a new one. So hopefully that will help, and hopefully we see a fall in the sort of griefing we see, because I know right now, and we're probably just going to like automatically flow into accessibility and visibility issues, but right now that's a big concern, especially for those players that don't have the values of something like Entity Hider, where they can make use of it and not have to worry about that. So we want to just make sure that we're doing as much as possible that griefing is restricted. Yeah, flowers is on there. Don't worry, Sage. Flowers is on there. Flowers, fires, box traps removed. Auto decay, cannons. Yeah, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. We can't guarantee it just yet, but that's the plan, right, Squid?
Yeah, there's a couple of comments about can't we just remove the ability to interact with other people's cannons? That's not the issue. The issue is that it blocks the tile. So if you block enough tiles around a tree, events can't spawn because there aren't free tiles to spawn stuff like roots in. That's the problem.
Yeah. So I know the interaction with cannons bit is like a separate issue in itself, but that's a bigger fix, I think, Squid, if I'm correct.
With what, sorry?
Like removing the ability to interact, and I've quotation marked.
That ain't gonna be an easy thing.
Yeah. So yeah, we just want to make like again, because we've only got like a very short space of time right now to try and address the very immediate feedback. We want to make sure we're doing as much impactful changes as possible that make it best for everybody. So yeah, that's what we do. And just touching on the accessibility aspect and visibility, because I know mobile was another big thing where it becomes very difficult to play events on it because of all the people. Obviously, that should reduce in time. That doesn't fix anything in the now. But especially, I know the flower and tree event was a big concern from players. And I'll caveat this saying, like, we've seen the feedback that the flower and tree event is probably the most underwhelming from your feedback in terms of the events you actively interact with. Like, I'm excluding the leprechaun in that because from your feedback you see it more of a utility than an actual event. which we'll come back to anyway. But part of the reason the flowering tree is difficult because there's so many people, all the bushes look the same. So finding the two pairs makes it very difficult. And, especially on mobile or those with visibility issues, keeping track of those can be very difficult. So what we've discussed, and again, this is not going to be an immediate fix because it needs art time. But we want to sort of, and Squid, please correct me if I'm wrong. We want to sort of pair up the bushes to be coloured together. So, like for example, there will be two purple.
No,
flowers.
they won't be paired.
Oh, they won't be paired.
The point is to find the pairs. What we're planning to do is make each bush a unique color. So you could say like, oh, red and yellow, and that's the pair.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, red and yellow. So yeah, at least that'll be a bit more easier than this one over here, and then being like, well, which one is this one? Because you're next to 3 different ones.
Yep.
Which yeah, the callouts thing, because like Vera, to your point, the callouts section of the struggling sapling thing is like one of the best social bits I think we've seen across the game. Like the update. Again, feel free to disagree with me, Squid, but I just love seeing all of that. Like Squid was talking about the abbreviations earlier, and it's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen people do the saplings being awesome. That was definitely my favorite event during development.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone pogging off with the roots as well. Yeah, seeing the wavy green coloured roots text is always quite fun. So yeah, there will be sort of like hopefully make it easier. The colorblind ones, I've just seen
the bushes they'll have unique names. So like orange bush, yellow bush.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I mean, we have to change like shapes and stuff like that at the moment.
Yeah, so
I'm not
for
sure.
now,
So we just have to do text.
Yeah, so at least that's something that like if you even if you're right clicking with even with like if the visibility issues still persist, at least you'll be able to right click on like a group and see that on that tile it is a red bush or a yellow bush just from the right click op, which will be nice. So yeah, it's we are aware of the visibility issues. There's some other things we've been talking about. I can't go into it yet, but like we're aware that the amount of players that are in one place and stuff like random events spawning at the same time as normal, like the forestry events and other bits and pieces. Like there's a lot going on the screen all at once. So we're aware. This is the only bit I can talk about right now, but there's, there might be some other bits we're planning in the future, but a lot of it does take art time, which again is quite, it's quite delicate with time at the moment because of all the stuff we're working on, which I can't talk about. So cool. All right, on that point then, forestry kit upgrade. So I know that we've also seen feedback around the upgraded forestry kit and not being able to deposit easily enough with it, which makes it feel a bit like not that great. I know that's the like sort of similar issue with a wearable fishing barrel as well. So I mean, I feel like we had a call earlier today, just before this actually, and there's like some options. I don't know if you want to go over the different bits, Squid, but
yeah. One of the things we were talking about in the long term was adding a button to the bank to like, deposit all your containers. But that's not going to happen soon. For the baskets specifically. So right now, if anyone doesn't know, if it's in your inventory, you can right click use, and that will empty into your inventory. Wait, does it do inventory or bank? I can't remember. One of the two. The basket is the problem is it's on your back. Yeah. I think we're talking about making it deposit from a deposit box if it's on your back, stuff like that. The UI with the bank is an interesting challenge. Not an easy fix. Like some of these things, like that sounds so simple. Nope.
blame spaghetti code.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, we can't add any more bank ops either. like you say, oh, add another right click up. Can't do that. So we are quite limited to what we can do. Well, I can't remember. We've had so many discussions today. What did we come up with in the end?
I think the call we said in the call we just had, it was, and again, this is very early stages, and the idea just came from the call, but it was make the forestry kit more like the plank sack rather than the fishing barrel, because I think the biggest thing with the fishing barrel is like the utility of it, because it's food in there, automatically gains a benefit that you can bring a lot of food with you. And I know it's uncooked because it's but you could still cook it and utilize it. Where logs, not as useful as fish. So being able to do it like the plank sack might be a better alternative, because again, it might spice things up as well with just like how it works. So
that's if you're out and about. Yeah. Right click use, other things have right click empty. Yeah, but if you with the basket, and you can use empty and fill with the same op, so it's not just empty. And yeah, being able to empty the basket out and about, it's just logs. There's something we can look at. We can look at whether you can empty it from your back if we have a spare op, maybe. If you're adding it when you're out and about, we could do that, yeah. Can't do that from the bank. If it's on your back, though. You need another button for that somewhere. Oh, have we lost Sani? Yep. Sweet.
Something like that changes the bank UI.
You're back. Sorry, did you disconnected again?
No, how long for? No.
What was I last saying when I stopped talking to you?
I was on like a really good speech about.
Oh no.
I'll edit this stages, so it sounds like I didn't even go anywhere. I was basically saying the bank button will have to be polled, because we need to do our due diligence with the community to make sure it's fine, and it affects something wider. It affects the whole game basically. So we need to make sure we're doing that. Even if it's like a straightforward, yeah, the community really want it. Like, we need to make sure we're asking you first officially before we do something like that, because that's how this game works. So yeah, hopefully I'm still here after that. So
yep,
good, awesome. All right, let's go on to. I'll tell you what. Let's go over some events polish, Squid. I've written up something, Squid. I don't know if you checked the thing I sent you before. On the event polishing thing, I feel like these sum up the events quite well. If they don't, tell me now before I start rambling off.
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. All right. So I've sort of collated like a little hit list, I suppose, of what I think from all the community feedback, and I was jumping in game on Wednesday and stuff like that as well. How you all feel about each event. So please, in the chat, tell me if I'm wrong, because I want to know if I'm wrong. Because if I've been going in the wrong direction, that's not great, and I've not done my job properly otherwise. Right, so Rising Roots. My original notes, I put just Biss and Roots in, like Roots with an exclamation mark. I put low intensity, great experience, great wards, decent social interaction. Because the only thing, you know what, I would maybe swap decent and put it up, because even though there's not anything it's not as intensive as something like Struggling Sapling, I do like all of the Roots stuff, just like people shouting Roots, which is really cool. And I suppose it is really social and good. So you know what, maybe I'll change decent to great.
It's funny because the root is literally just trees. You're just woodcutting.
Yeah.
It moves around a bit, but you're just woodcutting. So it's funny that's like, oh yeah, Roots is the best, because it's just kind of more of the same.
Yeah. I think and again, please, I'm talking to anyone in chat, please tell me if I'm wrong, but as a player, if something is extremely easy, like in terms of intensity, and you're getting like amazing experience, amazing rewards from it, of course you're gonna like it. Like you're not thinking about the balancing at that point. You're thinking, this is amazing. I want it. Why would we change this?
True that.
So and totally understand. Player Sani is right there with you. Roots is Biss, all right? Roots is Biss, and Roots should stay. Okay. I'm just like I want to put it out there and make sure that in terms of balancing, we need to make sure that if you know, and I'll go on to the flowering tree in a little bit, but that is one that's obviously not as favoured as some of the other ones. So we need to make sure that everything gets its due diligence. Not being confirmed now because we need to have more discussions about making sure that we know exactly what we're doing because we want to make sure that it's in the content as a whole is in a really good place. So struggling sapling, high intensity, great experience, good rewards, great social interaction, like probably the best social interaction because of how much you need to work together as a team. So like fantastic. Like I think sapling is pretty good all around. And then we go to the flowering tree, which for those of you is the bee event, just to for those who haven't been like reading all the blogs and stuff. So the flowering tree of the bee event, high intensity, not great experience, not great rewards, decent social interaction. So that's probably the weakest out of the three there. And then we've got the leprechaun, which is low intensity, and I've changed it for this bit. Low intensity, great utility, not considered an event because it is an event in the sense of like it's in the list of events, but if you compare it to everything else, it's like a utility bit, not a quote unquote event, So I'll start with a leprechaun first and squid again, as always. Unless you want to take it, squid. I feel like I've been rambling on, and I'm at any moment, obviously, and I'm on the edge of disconnecting at any moment. So what? Maybe you should take
How exciting!
take this.
Well, so leprechaun first.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What I want to do with leprechaun is make some gameplay in it as well. So he's like asks you to do something to help him out with something. So it is an event as well that gives rewards, but he'll also bank for you. Give it some utility. I know people are saying, well, just make it not block other events. Yeah, I think it'd be more interesting if it did something cool and you could actually play with it.
Obviously, on that note, just about in, and this is something for the players to bear in mind, is that if we did make changes to the Leprechaun event to make it an actual quote-unquote event, then that would take a lot more development time than it would to potentially stop, events from, well, continue letting events spawn after it's spawned, basically. So, yeah.
Back-to-back leprechaun.
Back-to-back leprechaun. just four leprechauns just killing around.
Yeah. I'm not sure there's anything else to add with that. I saw some people saying like, oh, can it bank bird's nest and stuff? If you have the charm, he will bank anything. If you don't have the charm, it's just logs. Except for a few that were missed, like Arctic pines. And,
teak, mahogany, Arctic pines, and blisterwoods. Is that the other one?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think I wrote it down somewhere. I know I've got the list somewhere. We're aware that those. Yeah, it's blisterwoods. Yeah.
He does bank your log basket though. So if you put all those in your log basket, you'll bank this. You'll bank them from there. But yeah, my preferred solution would be to make it a cool event as well that does something interesting, rather than having some events that are sort of non-blocking and that gets a bit more complicated. Be cool just to make it interesting.
Do you want to touch on the other three, squid, and what we're thinking about? Yeah.
Yeah, so Firing Tree, yeah, weak rewards. So as people pointed out, there is an issue at the moment where we have to cap the amount of people that get rewards. That is getting fixed as we speak. So you should get your rewards again, which will make that a bit better. We're also looking to make each bush a different color so that you can call out which colors are active. It is probably the weakest event, I would agree. I think the colors will help, at least once you've all found which one's active. You can say, oh, yellow, red, for example. You can run between those, and obviously it's easier with you spread out as a group, find the bushes, and then run back and forward. It's a less thinky, a bit more just work together to try and find it.
I think it feels bad for players as well, especially because it is at that point. It's because it needs an item, right? I feel like that's the other thing that makes it like, damn. Like, I know you only need one person to have it technically, but you know, when you still spawn it, you still need to work for that item, and then you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully with the rewards and stuff, it should feel a little less wasted at least. So yeah, the majority of the XP from the Firing Tree is set up to come from the end, so that's not going to be helping things.
Yeah. Do we want to touch upon struggling sapling and rising roots?
Sapling, I think this is in a pretty good spot. I know some of the things are a bit hard to see when there's so many players on the ground. And I know we've got some issues with people being able to just like scout out saplings and get the drop at the end. We're looking into fixes for that, so that you'd be better off staying for the whole event if you want the full amount of XP. Like staying there since the start rather than coming at the end and just popping some mulch in. Yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add there.
I think that's it. I think, like, you know, we saw a video earlier that was like someone, I think it was like mining, having like people scout in across the same world they were in, and then just like
Yeah,
as soon as someone had found the sapling, they would hop, get like bulk of XP, and then coming back, and the XP per hour like was quite interesting to say the least, just for what they were doing. So
yeah, the bark is the worst one to see on that one. Where we're talking about making it just a bit taller, so you can actually like a pile of bark, make it a bit easier to see, maybe make it a bit brighter. The what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the XP at the end, right? So the sapling has a timer bar. That's why it's a bit different to the other ones because of the timer. It's not a case of put all the XP on your interaction, because then you just want to drag out the event, and that's not the idea. But that's why there's a bit more tweaking to be done on that one. The bushes, like it does give you at the end, but it is based on your contribution, so it does track how many bushes you've helped fruit, and do it there. But there's potentially some adjustments we can do. We'll see how it is once everyone's getting their rewards. We kind of want people to stick around. That's kind of the idea. But yeah, we'll continue monitoring that for sure. Nothing is ever simple, Parker. Nothing is ever simple. Rising Roots, yeah, as we said, chop chop, get your rewards. It's good because you chop the thing, you get the reward. There's no ambiguity, there's no waiting. Easy.
Yeah,
I think it's nice to have a mix, to be honest. But
I think so.
once everyone gets their rewards, that'll be a bit better.
Yeah, this is not confirming or denying. I just want to set the precedents just in case, because of balancing. There might be slight tweaks to Rising Roots. All right, I don't think we want to take away from how cool of an event it is, but again, going back to the point of being a player, but I'm
being booed.
The chat, I can see it. You know what? You know what's even worse? I've got the chat on two screens. So I've got both my eyes, the corner of both my eyes. I've got booing coming at me. I just want to put it out there again. I don't want to. I can't say we're gonna or we're not gonna because it would be wrong of me with balancing with other events and what we've seen over the last couple of days. We need to always be prepared to make potential balancing changes, even if it's for something that's like extremely loved, like the Rising Roots. Like it's unfortunately it's a part of us being devs that we just need to think about. And it's again, player me doesn't want it. I'm right there. I'm booing myself. Okay, guys. But I and again, this is no promises, but I don't think it will change. If we do make changes, I don't think it will change that much. Potentially.
So the thing is, because right now the XP per hour for doing forestry event is potentially looking a bit lower because you're not getting rewarded for some of them, right? So when those other ones go up and the average goes up, and then we might need to bring that down a bit across all the events.
Yeah, so I feel like when Wednesday comes, next game update, we will see a clearer picture of how the events are faring. Like we've got a pretty good idea of the state they're in right now. Once we get to Wednesday, then we can really see if that's like we're already in the right ballpark of what our thinking is for these events and stuff. So hopefully you you guys can appreciate.
I will say I don't think we're far off. I don't think it's far
agreed. I don't think we're far off. I just want to set the precedents and for people to be aware and prepared. Like, not that it's definitely happening, definitely not happening. Just please take in mind we need to consider balancing when we're doing stuff like this. Yeah. I mean, Screenview's got a point. Like, this is a very good point. There are more avenues for balance than just XP, right? Just because I say balancing, it doesn't mean that we're just going to instantly nerf XP. So, that's not the case. And that's never the case. All right. When we talk about balancing, you have to look at the wider picture, because otherwise you're not balancing it, right?
Yeah, we're looking at it holistically, not just slamming down XP rates.
Yeah. The XP drop's not going to be fixed until Wednesday then. Yeah, unfortunately not, V. Like the because of the way, like, we were basically, this is to give you a little insight on how we're working as a team. The fix because we were prioritizing the crashing when doing events. Hopefully you can all still hear me.
Yep.
We're prioritizing stopping people's games from crashing doing the events. That's a bigger issue for us overall, because it's it's literally causing players to instantly stop playing the game, which is never fun. You do an event and your game crashes and you're like, oh, what the hell? You do it again, maybe it crashes again, and then you're just frustrated at that point, and that's never a good experience. Obviously the reward thing is similar. It's not a great experience when you're not getting rewards and other people are, but that fix was not as simple and would have needed a cold fix, which is what we've spent the last couple of days discussing amongst the team. Is it worth? Have we got enough to warrant a cold fix and bringing the game down? Because the other thing you've got to think about, especially when you're cold fixing, is if something then goes wrong because we've cold fixed, then that's more issues we've got to deal with and more time that you guys are not spending enjoying the game because something's happened, right? So every time we cold fix, it's a big risk in terms of like your enjoyment. And we didn't want to, we've just been weighing up the options basically of like, is there enough to warrant the cold fix? And right now, especially with how late it is, we've been in, like, Squid can probably tell you more, but there's been conversations since Wednesday at 12 when the game update launched. We've been having conversations pretty much all day, every day since that point.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy. Pretty non-stop.
Well, yeah, you know what? Chat's got a really good point to preface for those people who are listening afterwards or, can't see the chat. Hot fixing is something we can do while the game is up, and we can basically fix things live so the game doesn't come down. Whereas a cold fix, we need to bring the game offline in order to implement the changes we've done because of various coding and engine things. So that's why it's always important for us to try and avoid cold fixing as much as possible unless it isn't like entirely crucial to do so. And right now, at the moment, the events are still working like as interactions intended, so you can still enjoy the events. You might not get the rewards at the end all the time, but you're getting experience throughout. And you can still do woodcutting. Like a lot of the things are still there and still working. So it was like always a trade-off when we're talking about cold fixing. So yeah, I'm sorry for those that've got to wait, until Wednesday, and I'm one of them because I've been, doing. We're gonna start doing forestry properly, me and my wife, on our group Ironman this weekend. So even I'll be I'll be right there with you.
Yeah,
But
it
yeah,
sucks. It sucked. I was kicking myself when it happened. Just didn't really think about the limits that we were going to hit.
it's you know what, because we're being completely candid, and this is why I like this format a lot. It's really difficult, especially, and I know we see a lot of statements about like, oh, where's all the QA work and where's all of this, and like, especially with this update, the beta was obviously a big thing for us, and we were so excited to have that out. And unfortunately, and this was not because, and I'll stress this was not because of forestry that the beta didn't go live. There was technical issues, unforeseen, that made the beta impossible to launch. Like there was no way it was going to go out. So, none of that. Even with the beta is obviously a good point to make with this. But even if we had hundreds of QAs, like I'm talking like hundreds and thousands, like hundreds, maybe not thousands. I don't think any gaming company has thousands. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's never ever going to compare to your player base ever. Like when you've got so many different people playing the game all at once in so many different ways, you're always going to encounter problems that you're never going to see when you're testing either as QA or whatever. So that's why something like this, I know Squids, you said you kicked yourself, but like there was no way we were going to know unless we had like
Oh yeah,
we had we had the beta or something, so
yep, yeah, we were just as gutted as you guys, and we didn't get the beta. Don't worry.
Yeah, trust us, trust us.
Yeah, I was just seeing like but you spoke about what the cause is earlier, Parker. It's nothing to do with what your state is at the end. It's just there's a cap on how many people can get the rewards at the end, and it will just randomly pick them from the people that were doing the event, just to try and bring the limit down. Yes, we do have a fix. We can't hot fix it, which is why it's got to go out in the next game update.
Yeah, to S's point, I think, I don't know if that's their fault. Oh, it is just S ... Okay. To their point, I feel like, and Squid again, I feel like I can speak on behalf of the project as a whole. There've been a lot of learnings, like across the board, and I don't just mean like from dev or content developers perspective. I think it's from a CM perspective, from QA perspective. I think across the whole team, this part one has been a big learning point. Like personally, especially for me, I've worked on like quite a few big projects across my nearly 3 years here. This is definitely one of the ones I've taken away like more learning from than a lot of the others, I think.
Yeah, it's quite it's kind of different to a lot of the ones we do because so many of them are kind of solo focused. You just do it on your own. This is quite a bit different in that we've changed the entire system of how trees work and made a system that works for effectively unlimited amounts of people. Well, that was the intention. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of learnings on our part.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so hopefully that gives you some insight. I hope. I know we're at 6 o'clock. That's good. If you're okay to stick around for a
Yeah.
little while longer, cool. Nice. All right, let's just jump into then. After I feel like we've covered everything events wise, and then went on a tangent of testing and cold fix, hot fix, and stuff. I'm just trying to go down my list. Is there anything? You know what? Let's go. I'm just going to go over some smaller changes that we talked about in our. So for reference to everyone, we normally do game updates on Wednesday, and then on a Thursday morning we all meet up for a big discussion and feedback exchange for the update, and that's where we decide like, do we need to balance this? Do we need to change that? Do we need to fix this? Is there any ongoing issues? Is there any problems with the issues that we fixed, etc. Oh, have I gone at MIA again?
No.
Oh, okay. Sarah, you scared me.
We can hear.
My heart. Yeah, so we meet up and we all like discuss the game update and stuff. And I think what I love about the team is that it's never animosity in those calls. It's always from a point of understanding. Even if someone's like adamantly disagree, you are like they've got like fair points, and everyone always is hearing each other out because I think we're all so passionate and stuff. So there's a couple of smaller changes we want to look at. One of them was allowing the woodcutting skill cape to be used. So I think the original feedback point was like, let us combine it with the forestry kit so we can get the bird's nest bonus. What we think we're going to do, and again, Squid, correct me if I'm wrong, is allow you to put the wood cutting skill cape. This wouldn't include the max capes, it's just the wood cutting skill cape into the closed pouch, and then you could get the benefits from the bird houses.
Yeah, that was a last train of thought.
Nest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we just want you to be able to, have that benefit. If you could put the max cape in the closed pouch, that'd be insane. That'd be insane.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to be the woodcutting cape.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So one of the other things, like the Arctic pine issue we saw beforehand about not having an efficient way for Arctic pine logs, was putting them on trolls. And I know it doesn't. I know that doesn't talk about or address UIM skillers in particular because they can't do that content. But just on that point, we noticed that not all of the trolls on that place give you rolls for Arctic pine logs. I think some of them only give you bones, so we're exploring how to make that a bit better. Like that, there's been light discussion about adding a skilling method outside of. I mean, it shouldn't matter as much now with the changes to the the UIM, the depositing changes we want to make. So hopefully that'll fix it. But yeah, we're still going to monitor the situation basically. Another one is making the forestry kit free. For those of you who read the early blogs, we were initially going to try and do a quest to get you like the lowdown on everything forestry. Squid, is it? It's probably okay for me to say, right? I imagine.
I'm not the authority on that.
I'll do it, and if I get stuff thrown at me, it's fine. The quest is probably not coming. Like, to be honest, the quest is not happening. It's definitely not happening anytime soon. And if it happens in part 2, it kind of feels a bit redundant at that point because forestry's already been out for a few months or whatever.
Yeah, we can do more cool stuff if we don't do the quest, right? So that's how we'll sell it.
Exactly. I think that's what when we was in that call, we were like, it might have even been me that said like, no, bun the quest off because then we can do more stuff. So instead, what we're going to do, because originally the quest was going to give you a forestry kit, so you could do forestry, and if you needed a replacement, you buy one. We're going to try and make the forestry kit free, so you can just get a forestry kit again. And I know 120 coins isn't a big issue, but it's just a nice little quality of life improvement. I can't remember if we're doing a right-click op on the friendly forest or whatever, but refund me my 120 GP. No, Tony. No, it's not happening. Sorry. Just imagine it as Forester's tax. Forester's tax. There you go.
I wonder how much we actually sunk from that.
You
All
know
those
what?
forestry kits.
You know what? Maybe we could probably figure that out. You know.
How many forestry kits exist in the game? 120 GP each.
You know. I'm just saying we could figure that out. I'm curious about that. You know. I'm gonna follow up next week. It's obviously it's a Friday now for us, and it's this is literally the last thing me and Squid are doing today. So okay. So the other thing is, and we are going to include a Australian world for forestry. So all you people down under will have your own forestry world. We've already identified one, and yeah, should be able to make it happen. So hopefully that's a good thing. More forestry focused worlds, and then hopefully over time you can all spread out across all the worlds and have a good time with forestry. And then the other one, which is like another minor one, we were investigating changing how the chat messages you receive come out, because they are quite. Some players are seeing them as a bit spammy at the moment, so there's investigations going into like potentially tweaking that. Yeah, Squid. I don't know if there's anything else.
Just clarify that forestry events spawn on any world, not just forestry worlds.
Oh, yep. Very good point.
What else? Thank you everyone for enjoying it and engaging with it. Feedback's been awesome. Super awesome to see all like Sis Village active again. Love it.
Yeah, it's like honestly, no matter how many like feedback points we've been going through these last couple of days, it does bring a massive smile to my face seeing all the people just like running around like not even old school RuneScape, like 2004 5 RuneScape, you know.
Yeah, all the events have the same chance as well.
Squid.
Yep.
Just seen something in the chat. It's quite interesting. Free to play Forestry World.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good point. Do we have free? If there are free to play worlds available, then yes,
probably. We will ask Mod Rock on Monday.
Yes,
we can include one. Can't guarantee it because we need to check if we have an available world and stuff like that. And it will probably only be one world, so like one region. So yes, please bear that in mind. So yeah, I think that's it. I hope you. I'm sorry. I know I said at the start we are going to get around to a couple of questions, but like
we answered some of them. Some
we
of those
answered
are the
some
ones
of
we
them.
talked about. Yeah, there is a lot in there. Holy moly!
I'll have. Okay. I suppose we can do
high up one. We've already talked about XP. Can you get Beaver vet pet from forestry events? No, there's no role for it.
But I mean, we did speak about maybe a pet with some other events that we might consider for part 2. So just not confirming, just putting it out there.
Kenya Antarctic Pine Tree Cerelica. I can bring it up with the team.
I think Squid, this might be a good one to touch upon actually, because I think we might have briefly touched upon it at the start, but I can't remember now because it's the whole day's been, I think, one big blur at this point. The Woodcutting Guild is losing its favour. Any plans to adjust it to fit with forestry?
The Woodcutting Guild's losing its flavour?
I'm guessing it says favour, but I'm guessing
favour?
Like, yeah.
Huh?
I'm guessing guessing
like
it's meant
how
to
good
be
it is.
Yeah.
I say delete that place. It's my opinion. I hate that place. I don't think it adds anything meaningful to gameplay. I think it takes people out of the world. I don't think it was a good update. I don't think people should be the place where you cut trees. That's my opinion. That's why forestry is in the outside world. If you want to just chill, cut trees with the +7, go to the guild. If you don't, then go do forestry in Sears.
I think that for the people saying rip Woodcutting Guild, like I understand, and it's probably going to be a bit more prevalent now because forestry is new. But you've still got to remember there are a lot of advantages to the Woodcutting Guild as a area anyway. You get a +7 boost without the need for other people there. You've got redwoods there, you've got a sawmill there, you've got a bank, you've got tons of different types of trees in there.
Yeah, it's so good already.
Really good area for just woodcutting in general. So just because you don't get events there doesn't necessarily make it bad. I know the events are really cool, but it's exactly why we wanted to push players to the outside world and have events just sort of everywhere, because I think Squid might have said it in a Q&A in past or in a video, but the whole idea is like to run around the world, see if forestry events going on and being like, oh yo, what's that? I'm gonna jump in. Boom. With the woodcutting guild, it's all siloed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't like the idea in general of like that was a good rounded way of saying it. I don't like the idea in general of making one spot that's like in an enclosed little area the de facto place to go for a skill. The beauty of RuneScape is that so much stuff is spread out across the game in mixed high levels and low levels and different types of content. The woodcutting guild is just trees, one spot. I think it's kind of goes against the principles of RuneScape. So I think we should encourage stuff outside of that. It's already good, as Sunny was saying. If you just want to chop trees and get the XP there, and also redwoods. So.
yeah, because remember, this is just an expansion to woodcutting, and I know a lot of people will argue, yes, it is essentially changing the skill, which is a fair point, but you can still do generic woodcutting, like the classic style of woodcutting in the guild if you want, and probably the best place to do it, I imagine. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, the like the woodcutting guild in itself, maybe there's things we can do in the future that are that change it, improve it a little bit, but I don't want to get to a point where it becomes like the go-to again for just ever. Like, I still feel like you should have that opportunity. Like, the woodcutting guild should give you new and exciting different options to do the skill, but you still got forestry at the same time. I will say, I'm gonna address this point because I've just seen it come up. Redwoods are less AFK than before. I'm gonna okay, so I'm gonna go.
Buckle up.
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna go on a.
There was the wind up there. I was like, oh,
I've got to
what's
remember where I
coming?
am. I've got to remember where I am. No, basically, redwoods. Like, you know what? Aggression said it perfectly, which is ironic considering how I was amping up. Redwoods have become more predictable, which is the beauty of it. All right. So your AFKness is more consistent than ever. And I know that some people really enjoyed the fact that sometimes in, cutting redwoods, you can go for like 20 minutes or something. Like, I don't think 20 minutes, maybe I've pushed that way too far, but there was like, sometimes you go for ridiculously long, but then other times you go for like 15, 20 seconds and then, now I need to chop again. That, for AFK, especially from a personal opinion, feels really bad. I would rather a completely consistent method that I know in exactly, this amount of time, I know I'm going to be stopping. So I can go and, have my focus elsewhere, do anything else, or, and then I know in that, set a timer for 4 minutes and, what is it, 20 odd seconds, I
There's
think.
a little variance, yeah, but it's around that.
Yeah, set a timer for that. You're good. Do whatever you want for four and a bit minutes. You're cool. You don't have to worry about coming back and being logged out because you unfortunately got like a 30-second redwood. Right, that feels bad. So
yeah. Also, someone else can chop the same bit as you. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so I personally feel like, and I'll probably hold my ground on this. Like, if other, if the wider player base feels differently and other JMOs feel differently, it's fine. But I feel like it's better consistency overall.
I agree.
Yeah, trees being shareable is good. It's nice.
True that.
Right. Okay. I think we're gonna call it here. I'm gonna just apologise for not getting this update out in time for the wider player base. Please, if you wanna, I've got this recorded this time. So this will go up hopefully on Monday, so I can get information out alongside this maybe. sorry we didn't get to answer loads of your questions, and I'm sorry. I feel like I'm saying sorry a lot, but yeah, that there's been some. No. You know what? I feel like it's been pretty good overall. I feel like it's pretty good. I am sorry there's been some issues, but I feel like we're doing our utmost finest to address as much as possible. It's just been a lot of talking and stuff. So I have to be sorry. I'm a CM. That's my job. It's my job. Like I was saying yesterday, like as much as you're the voice and we're the megaphone, sometimes we need to turn it around and be the voice for the team and say, sorry guys.
Yeah. I think it's been pretty good overall. Like,
I think so.
There are some teething issues. There are some bits that maybe didn't get as polished as we would have liked. But hey, we'll try our best, try to fix all the stuff, and we'll try and make more cool stuff for part 2.
Yeah. So just as a quick summary, like we are aware of many issues, including balancing, polishing events, event rewards and inconsistency, which will be fixed on Wednesday. Collection log will be coming. Forestry kit depositing issues, we're aware, we're investigating. Cannon fires and all that other type of griefing, we're very aware and we're hoping to fix it in the next 2 weeks. Accessibility and visibility issues, they're on our radar. They might take a little bit more time because they are they need art as well as they need art to make the changes happen. UIM stuff, you'll be able to deposit your logs but not take them back out in some form. So we're not diminishing the game mode, but we're at least giving you an option to do that. And then there's a couple of smaller changes that we're exploring as well. I think I've covered everything.
Sounds about it. Yeah.
Sweet.
I think so.
All right. Nice. Part 2 stuff is coming very soon. Obviously, with all the stuff that's happened this week, it's taken up time that I wanted to explore part 2 and get things ready. So me and Squid are probably going to be very busy next week as well. So I'm hoping I can still get it out for next week. Don't hold me to that though. I know Aiza will want to hold me to that, but I know there's been a lot of things going on. So hopefully, maybe that's it. And thank you for playing, guys. Like honestly, it's been really, really, really fun to watch.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thanks everyone.
Yeah. You're free to go. Class dismissed. That's it.
Go chill. Just
Yeah.
sleep for the weekend.
Yeah.
Do it all again on Monday.
Exactly. Oh, okay. Yeah. Get out of here, guys. Get out of here. Go and enjoy your weekend.